Hello, hello, excuse me. It's flu time of the year. My son had the flu last week. I'm fine. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so happy that you're here on this Wednesday that is not just any Wednesday, because today is the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. It is the darkest day, the shortest day of the year. And there is power to that. There is power in giving us permission to be with the darkness, which sometimes is uncomfortable. Sometimes it's difficult because we so long for the light. We so long for the summer. We so long for the place where we have full of energy to do all the things that we love. And at the same time, just like I've talked about before, it's so important to have the space to relax, the space to rest, the space to contract. And today I'm going to share with you a practice that I love doing. It's a ceremony, really. I love doing ceremony. I find that there's something very powerful and very beautiful about sitting down and having a ceremony and doing something with intention. And the ceremony that I'm going to share with you is a New Year ceremony. And the purpose of it is, there are many purposes for it. One is to acknowledge all the wonderful things that have happened in the year that has passed. Another purpose is to clear all the challenging things that have happened. So we can feel the feelings related to this and then let go of it. Hello, Nikki. And the third purpose of the ceremony is to call in that which we're longing for, to become really clear about what is it we desire for the next year. And this is not about setting New Year's resolutions, because so many of those, hand on your heart, we never do, right? We start really well in January, maybe February, and then they sort of die out. That gym card, I don't know if that's called, if it's called the gym card in English, but the gym card that we buy in January, how many of us really use it in March? The diet that we start in January, how many of us continue with it in March? So this is something different. This is giving you the opportunity to create new dreams, to really connect with those inner dreams and create that space for you to be able to receive that in your life. And as I share the questions and then as I share the practice, you don't need to write it down, because I'm going to share all the text, all the questions and everything in the comments when I share this live. So I invite you to just listen and see what it is that you're here to receive in the moment. So the first thing that I love doing for a ceremony is setting the space for it. And there are so many different ways of doing this, and I invite you to play with this. I invite you to be creative with this. Because there is no wrong or right way to do ceremony. So many times the simplest ways of doing ceremony are actually the most powerful ones. There's a tendency to overcomplicate things, to think that, oh, the more complicated, the more processes, the more tools I use, the better. But my experience is that it's actually on the contrary. The simpler, the more powerful. So the first thing is to set a space for it. Choose a space where you feel that you will not be disturbed, that you feel that this is a safe space for you, a place where you feel comfortable, that you really enjoy being in. The second one is you will need paper and pen. Maybe you want to light a candle. Maybe you want to light some incense. Or put some essential oil in a purifier or something like that. Maybe you want to wear something special. Maybe you want to play some music, some soft music that helps you get in the mood for it. Whatever feels good to you. Maybe you want to bring in something really nice to drink or something nice to eat, a piece of chocolate or something. And the reason why I say just chocolate is because when we bring pleasure into these practices, they become even more powerful. It is easier for us to connect with our inner desires. It is easier to feel and move the emotions that need to be moved through us and release them. And it's also easier to connect to the joy of celebrating that which we want to celebrate. And when you have all of that in space, I invite you to create what I call a holy circle. So you can imagine that you have a golden ring around you. It can be a golden ring of fire, it can be a gold ring, it can be any kind of ring. But it's a ring that signifies that you're stepping into ceremonial or ritual space. And then I invite you to imagine a bubble around you, a bubble that signifies peace, that signifies safety, that signifies integrity, that signifies compassion. And you can bring in whatever you need into that space. And once you have that in place, you can invite your guides, you can invite, if you have any specific beings that you feel that you have a good connection with, any spiritual beings, energies, anything else, maybe loved ones that have passed. Whatever feels good to you. Invite them to be with you in the ceremony, to support you in this ceremony. Once you have all of that in place, it's time to start with the questions. And the first ones are about celebrations. And they're about celebrating and bringing into consciousness all the wonderful things that have happened in the past year. Because sometimes we don't remember, right? So I invite you to ask yourself, what is the thing that you're most proud of this past year? Another question is, how have you grown? How have you expanded this year? And all of these questions will be in the chat. What was the most cherished moment this past year? What has been the most meaningful moment, meaningful event, meaningful experience for you? And you can write them all down on a piece of paper and write all the answers down. And I invite you, as you do this, to really remember those moments. Feel them in your body. Notice how the experience is in your body as you remember them. How does it make you feel remembering this? Then we come to the second part of this, and that is clearing, which is about clearing all the challenging experiences that we have. And in this part, I invite you to ask yourself the following questions. What has been the most challenging experience this past year? And I believe that every challenge somewhere along the way brings some form of teaching, some form of learning. It might not come right away. It might be something that you see right away in the moment. It might be something you see a couple of weeks after. It might be something that you notice several years afterwards. And there's no right or wrong here. The second question is, what are you ready to let go of? And it can be a belief, it can be a behavior, it can be a relationship, it can be something physical, or anything else that you feel that this is something that I'm ready to let go of. And the last question is, what made you the angriest? What made you the most sad? What made you the most frustrated? And as you connect with all of these, I invite you to really give yourself permission to feel all of this. Feel the yuckiness, feel the anger, feel the frustration, feel the sadness, and allow these emotions to move through you. And the way you do that is by noticing when you connect with them, where in your body you feel it. And without judging, without needing to change anything, just pay attention to it. Imagine that you are just an observer, that you're sitting outside just watching this, noticing that there's nothing wrong or right with this. It's just an emotion that shows up, needs to be felt, and as we feel it, it will be released. And this is a way to process all of the challenging experiences that we've had for the past year so that we don't necessarily carry them with us into the next year. This doesn't mean that you're going to get rid of them completely. Often I find that there are so many layers to challenging experiences that this might support you in releasing part of the layer. And maybe some of it is left, or maybe you do release all of it. And again, here, there's no wrong or right. It's not about getting rid of all of it. It's about giving you permission to move through it so that you can continue moving along the journey that you're on. And the last part is about connecting to what you desire. So the question is, what would you love most of all for next year, 2024? And it can be anything related to health, it can be anything related to relationships, travel, your personal development, something physical, a new job, whatever it is. And here I invite you to imagine that you have all the things that you need available to you for this to happen. There are no limits. There are no boundaries for this. There's no wrong or right thing to desire. So let your mind go completely free, completely bananas, and just desire whatever it is that you want. There's no small thing or too big thing to desire. It's just about letting your heart free and desiring, connecting to whatever it is that it desires. And when you're done with all of this, you can finish by thanking yourself for the magic that you've created, thanking for the support that you've received, maybe putting on a song that you really love and dancing your wildest dance. And if you're really brave, I invite you to burn the paper with all of your answers. And that might feel challenging because especially when it comes to our desires, we have a tendency to want to hang on to them. But what happens if we hang on to them really tight Like imagine that you're holding your desire really tightly with your fists, right? There's no energy that can move through this and this tightness. It gets stuck, right? And for the desires to come to fruition, to start coming to reality in your life, they need to move. You need the energy to move. And you need to let go of it, to not hold on to it. It's sort of like Sting sings about. If you love someone, set them free. And that, I know, is sometimes the hardest thing to do. But I invite you to just try it. And maybe you can burn part of the paper, part of it, whatever feels good to you. Okay, loves. I am so happy that I got to share this with you. And you can either do this ceremony today on the winter solstice, or you can do it on the last full moon of this year, which is either on the 26th or the 27th of December, depending on where you're at, because it's in the middle of the night. And it doesn't really matter that much because the energy of the full moon extends over a few days. So you don't have to do it exactly. You don't have to get up like, I think here it's at like 1:30 at night or something. You don't have to get up and do it 1:30 at night. It's okay to do it whenever it works for you, the day before or the day after, or the actual day of the full moon. Okay, so I would love to hear two things from you. And one is, what is your relationship to ceremony? Because many of us have, like for instance, I've had a very challenging relationship to ceremony. When in the beginning I used to do full moon ceremonies with a friend, and we used to do them out in the woods, and this feeling would come up of intense fear sometimes. And as time went on, I realized that it was the fear from past lives of having been killed for doing these kind of practices. And maybe there is also memories of sitting in so-called ceremony at church, listening to a male priest talking about sin or talking about whatever it is that is so boring and feels like it takes hours that you just want to go to sleep. So this is also an invitation to rewrite the story around ceremony if that is what you need. So that was one thing. I'd love to hear what your relationship to ceremony is. And the other thing is, what is it you're dreaming about? What is your big dream? And what was this ceremony like for you? Okay, loves, I am leaving you with this. And this is the last live that I'm doing this year because next week is Christmas week and I will be taking time off. So I wish you so much joy for Christmas in whatever way it comes, because I know for many people Christmas is a very challenging time. And I'm also dedicating this ceremony, because I will be doing this ceremony by myself, and if you feel called to as well, I dedicate this gift, this ceremony, to love, freedom, and peace for all beings on this planet, for everyone that is suffering, for everyone that is experiencing pain. May the work that we do reach them and fill their hearts with compassion, with love and light and peace. So mote it be. There was something else that I was going to say. don't remember. Okay. Yes. I also wish you a very magical new year. And I will see you in 2024. Sending you so much love.